I'm Martin Strange, and this is Punk Rock Picture Show, a history of radical cinema. This is the opening of Mamoru Oshii's Angel's Egg, an experimental and abstract fantasy anime from 1985. The film begins by placing us in a strange and forgotten world where reality is but a dream. These early shots are reminiscent of 60s and 70s science fiction pulp art, yet create something entirely new and bewildering, something unknowable. The turning hands, strong hues of red and blue, organic-looking structures, a floating orb containing hundreds of stone statues. And this is only the beginning. The film continues to confuse and amaze throughout the entirety of its short but potent 71-minute runtime. It is truly unlike anything I have ever seen, and even after watching the film twice, I'm still struggling to grasp its meaning, if there is one. The film takes place on a primordial, desolate planet where future and past are intertwined. Buildings take on unusual shapes and characteristics, and rain is constantly falling. It features only two characters, who are unnamed: a young girl who collects water and protects an egg of unknown origin, and a boy who wields a cross over his shoulder, searching for a giant bird he once dreamt of. Written and directed by Oshii, who would later go on to huge success with the internationally acclaimed Ghost in the Shell, the filmmaker had come from a steady run of work in television and film, having directed what is considered the first OVA, original video animation, titled Dalos. He was then hired to direct an adaptation of Lupin III, the popular manga, but his concept for the movie was deemed too eccentric, and the project fell apart. Oshii took his ideas to a new studio and began Angel's Egg, which was initially conceived of as a comedy, which would begin with the young girl stepping foot off of a flying ark into a Japanese convenience store. Once the director saw early artwork from his collaborator Yoshitaka Amano of Speed Racer fame, it was decided the film would become a pure fantasy. It is considered a radical departure from Oshii's previous work, featuring very little dialogue and replete with ambiguous imagery and recurring allusions to the Bible. There was no definitive script for the film, but rather a collection of ideas with matching storyboards from Amano, with Oshii stating he wanted as little narrative as possible, and with no clear drama. He aimed to keep the film simple, using animation as an expression to draw out a story, filling it with symbols and metaphors. Though simple is certainly not a word I would use to describe the film. Ambitious, bold, weird are more accurate descriptors. The film is steeped in religious allegory, from the ghostly fisherman and shadowy fish, to the boy's wielding of his cross, to his recitation of a passage from the Bible recounting the Great Flood. His own world itself is a drowned one. While some have indicated that the film is built on Oshii's supposed loss of faith in Christianity, the director himself has stated that he, in fact, was not a Christian, but thought quotes from the Bible were interesting. Oshii has also said that the angel fossil concept, a memorable scene wherein the boy discovers the bird from his dream, was directly taken from the cancelled Lupin film, as well as the general theme of questioning one's existence. Both characters are engaging with the ideas of belonging and purpose, with the young girl protecting her precious egg at all costs, and the boy trying to remember where he came from and where he is going. There are numerous scenes where the characters stare at their reflections, either in pools of water or broken windows, further dividing the lines of self. It is ultimately unclear what the characters' motivations are, as they speak very little and reveal almost nothing about themselves. Instead, the film is interested in how this ruined world shapes the characters and how they interact with it. They are both on missions of a sort, but are virtually helpless against the whims of the natural decaying planet and everything on it. This narrative abstraction extends to the filmmaking itself. The movie has less than 400 shots for around 66 minutes of animation, the average duration of a shot being about 10 seconds, which is really quite low even by 1985 standards. Most anime use roughly 3 times as many shots. At one point in the film, there is a 3-minute unbroken shot of the girl sleeping and the boy sitting watching a low-burning fire. You don't even really register that it is just one shot until, very subtly, the fire goes out and the boy rises. The first real words of dialogue aren't spoken until about 24 minutes in, where the boy tells the girl she must keep her egg in her belly or lose it. A not-so-subtle analogy to childbirth, another theme this film wrestles with throughout. Their conversations are open-ended, full of questions with no answers, just like the film itself. Filling the space where dialogue would typically go is the remarkably haunting score by Yoshihiro Kanno, which does an incredible amount of heavy lifting to move the film along in its slower, more languorous moments. Full of atonal sounds and dissonant choral melodies, the music of Angel's Egg both enhances and further abstracts the story. It is a push and pull of twisting ideas and motifs that are both beautiful and unsettling. Like all great scores, it is impossible to imagine the movie without. When the film was released in 1985, it struggled critically and financially, with Oshii stating it kept him from getting work for years. Western audiences were utterly confused by its avant-garde nature, citing the allegory and symbolism and the open-ended ending as reasons. Interestingly, the director himself claims to not know what the film is truly about, preferring it to be left to interpretation. Though he stated in a 1985 interview that the egg, the main subject of mystery throughout, is supposed to be filled with hopes and dreams which may or may not exist. The film itself feels like unrealized hopes and dreams manifesting on screen. Oshii's frustration with the studio system synthesized into an unforgiving dreamscape. The film ends just as strangely as it began. The young boy standing on a beach covered in bird feathers, the tide rushing toward him, the girl now etched in stone with her egg in the monolithic orb that rises from the sea and sees all. The shot continuously pulls out until all of these elements are mere marks on a world that appears against an abstract gray pattern, half in shadow and half in light. It is totally unclear what we are meant to take from this. In the 40 years since its release, time has been quite kind to Angel's Egg. It is the subject of numerous video essays, such as this one. Its beauty and wildly inventive style have elevated the film beyond cult status to true recognition on the world stage. A 4K remaster was screened for the film's anniversary at the Cannes Film Festival in 2025 and received a short theatrical run, with the feature later being made available to stream on HBO Max, where it can be watched right now. All of these things have brought a widely misunderstood experimental film back into the limelight to be reappraised and reestablished as the sublime, wondrous work of art that it is, proving that sometimes the world is not ready for such ideas when they are initially pulled from the ethereal realm. But with time, we can see them for both the beauty and terror they possess, without necessarily even having to wonder what it all means. This is Punk Rock Picture Show. I'm Martin Strange. Thank you for watching.